Welcome to the Great Show of Greyhounds. My name is Brian. In the previous episode, we took a look at why you might be interested in a retired racing greyhound. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the process of actually adopting one. Finding available greyhounds to adopt is a simple Google search for adoptable greyhounds in my area. The results should point you in the direction of an organization that specializes in placing greyhounds into your home, or maybe even an adoption program through a nearby track. In most cases, the organizations will have an application that you can submit electronically on the internet, or perhaps print off and mail in, but it's much more fun to fill one out in person at a meet and greet event so that you can meet the greyhounds that they have there for you to see. For example, Heather and I, as well as many others, will help work the table for an organization called Heartland Greyhound Adoption for their Eastern Iowa footprint. You can find us at the Coralville Petco on the fourth Sunday of every month, from noon until 2 in the afternoon. Now in this video, I'm not going to go into great detail about Heartland Greyhound Adoption. I've already done a video about them in the past, which you can select here. Many animal adoption organizations have meet and greet events posted on their website calendars and their Facebook pages so that you know where to find them so you can meet their animals in person. When you're ready to adopt an animal from an organization or a shelter, there's going to be an I can't ever remember my lines, Wilson. Just gonna have this notebook right here. When you're ready to adopt from an animal shelter or an adoption group, there's going to be an adoption fee. And don't be surprised if there's also an initial fee just to submit the application. The adoption group is absolutely not trying to turn a profit. There's just a lot of expenses that incur when a greyhound is Ooh, smacked you in the face, buddy. He loves his ear rubs. The adoption group is absolutely not trying. What are you? You're falling off the couch. There we go. 80 pounds and difficult to move. There's just a lot of immediate expenses when a greyhound is retired. The cost can total around $550. It costs to spay and neuter them, it costs to get their teeth cleaned because of a high protein diet while they're at the track. They gotta get microchipped, they gotta have their immunizations updated, and that's just the expenses if they retire healthy. It costs even more if a greyhound retires because they got injured, like if they broke a leg. After you get your application submitted, the adoption group may want to do a home visit. Now this is not an inspection. You don't have to have your house clean enough to pass a white glove test. One of the big reasons that they want to do a home visit is because, greyhounds are big. And they'd like you to know just how big this animal's gonna be when it's walking around your house. You might find that your hallways are a little narrow once you got one of these guys following you around. You'll also take a look at if your house has a setup for the food and water bowls to be raised up. Greyhounds are tall, and for big dogs, it can help to avoid bloat, which can be fatal if your food and water bowls are raised off of the floor. They want to make sure you understand that if ever you have your dogs outside and it's not a confined space like a fenced-in backyard, that you have them on a leash. These are sight hounds. They get away from you, they're going to run at 30 miles an hour, and they're not going to be able to find their way home with their sense of smell.
Oh boy.
Wilson, come! Wilson! Shit!
We're also going to take a look into if you own or if you're planning to own a crate. Crating is important, and I'm going to take a closer look at that in the next episode of The Great Show. It's common to kind of want to tuck that crate out of sight, like somewhere in the basement, but that really may not be the best for your greyhound's inclusion into your home life. They're kind of sensitive to things like that, and they might feel excluded if you tuck them away in the basement when you're not home. Oh. Yeah, that's fine. Wilson! Mainly the people doing the home visit for the Greyhound Adoption Group just want to get to know you and make sure that you're not like a murderer or someone who's going to be really reckless with the dog that they're going to provide to you. All right, Wilson, I gotta go to work, so you need to go into your kennel. Good boy. Now, in case you get bored, I have this circular saw for you to play with. Now I'll be back in 72 hours to give you some water and let you out. For some adoption organizations, the absence of a fenced-in backyard can be a deal breaker. Not for all, but for some. We had Wilson in a condo several years ago, and that worked just fine without having a backyard. We just took a lot of walks whenever Wilson needed to go out. Of course, after that first winter of miserable walks and blizzards and sub-zero temperatures, we put the condo up for sale and bought a house with a fenced-in backyard. Again, not necessary, but it is nice to have a safe place for the dogs to run around and play. The home home visit is a great opportunity to get all of your questions answered. A one-on-one Q&A with someone who's seen it all. If there are any issues that you have with your retired racer, many of them can be resolved by crating, which I'll go over in our next episode of The Grade Show. But before I go into detail about that, it is time for this episode's photo finish. This is a picture of Wilson and myself on our way to a meet and greet event for Heartland Greyhound adoption. He really enjoys being our show dog for those. If you've ever hosted a meet and greet event or have adopted a dog from one, then I encourage you to share your photos in the comments below. As I mentioned earlier, the next episode of The Grade Show of Greyhounds will explore the benefits of crating your dog. The link to that episode, as well as the previous episode, can be found over here on top of the lazy one. I would also like to invite you to subscribe to this YouTube channel. The link can be found here at the bottom of the screen. Chances are on top of her face. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.